Hey everyone, Simon and Alex here with Top Tennis Training, and in this lesson we're going to cover how to use the width of the tennis court.
Now, if you've been watching the French Open recently, you'd have seen Novak Djokovic really using angles on the court, opening up angles in both the Nadal match and the Tsitsipas match that made him really effective and essentially won him the tournament. And it's a tactic that you can use in your own matches for a few reasons. Now, the first reason is the fact that you get your opponent out of the court in order to open up a free space to hit into. It makes the court a lot bigger, especially if you want to put the ball away. First, you want to get the opponent out of the court and then set up your big shot into the open space. It makes the next target a lot bigger.
Another great reason to use the width of the court and using these short angles is to make the player run more, which in turn makes them more tired.
Now, when you are going for an angle, in order for your opponent to reach that ball, they have to close the angle down, they have to stand a lot closer to the baseline, which then in turn makes your deeper shots more effective. So if you can use the angle first, followed by a deep ball, it's a great strategy to use, especially against someone who's attacking you. It puts them onto that back foot and puts you in a more attacking position.
Another great reason to use the angles is it really exploits those players who might not be as tactically aware as other more experienced players. So when I take my opponent off the court 5 or 6 feet off the singles court, now their next shot might be the major factor in that whole point. If they go down the line, the ball's still traveling towards me, so that down the line shot becomes less effective. But if they go cross court, I'm already there, so the point becomes a very hard one for them to win. Now, before we get any deeper into this lesson, if you're serious about improving all aspects of your game, then make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and you turn on that notification bell.
Now, in order for you to use the width of the tennis court in your own matches, we're going to look at two things: the tactics, or choosing the right shot to do the angle on, and the technique and how to execute that angle shot. So let's look at the tactics first.
So the first thing to understand is the closer you are to the baseline or inside the court, the more the angles open up.
You want to have more ability to create angle, and you want your opponent to cover more space. Now, to practice this, you can even do it rallying down the middle, and you can have one player, even both players, looking to create an angle if they can get inside the court, or even like the 3/4 way of the court inside the baseline. If you can get there and you have a little bit of angle to play with, then why not try and go for that angle? And then you could try and play the point out from there. And here I was able to get inside the baseline, so I'm looking for that depth first and anticipating that shorter ball so that I can use the angle and accelerate my hand. Really, a lot of the topspin is coming from my forearm and my wrist to try and dip that ball, try and get that ball to go past the sideline, so the singles line. I want to break that ball to go past the line, past the sideline, before it reaches the baseline. Then I know I've done my job, and I know that he's going to have to cover a lot of court, and in this situation he wasn't able to reach that. That is also relevant when you are being pushed outside of the court. You now have a better angle to go cross court. So on those balls, try and expose the angle, because the angles become more available to you. If you're in the middle, you have to be inside the baseline to try and create a bigger angle. The further back you go, the less angle there is available, and if you are going for an angle, it won't quite be as effective, and you may be risking too much.
Now if you want more ways to win singles matches, we have a free tactics guide that you can download right away. All you have to do is click on the link beneath this video that will take you to our website. Simply enter your email address and we'll send you that free PDF right away. Now, sometimes the best way to actually open up those angles is to firstly push the player back. And this is something that we saw Andre Agassi do extremely well. With his first cross-court shot, he wasn't going for the angle, but he's going for the depth and that heavy spin to push the player back. On that next shot, now the player will normally return the ball slightly shorter. They're already 6 or 8 feet behind the baseline. Now this angle opens up, and that's when you can start to move them off the court. And then hopefully on that next ball, you then have that down the line play. So it's that 3-shot pattern. Deep, push the player back. Width, push the player off, and then exploit the space.
And after you exploit the space, of course, you can come forward and finish it off with a volley. But it gives you that chance to get into the rally and play it on your own terms. So there, I used the deep ball, then the slightly shorter angle, and I looked and I saw that he was so far out of the court, the ball was traveling slower, that I could actually come forward and then volley that ball down the line. And sometimes you may play a few cross-court balls and wait for the right opportunity. So there, I didn't quite get the first wide enough. He dropped a little short, but he didn't play a good enough shot. So then I could try and get the angle on the next one and then approach with a slice. And approaching into the space with a slice, especially on a faster court like grass where it doesn't bounce up quite as much, it's a really good play to do after you've done that angle. And there's so much space to go into, it becomes very difficult for him to reach it with any conviction, really. So I've got the easy volley to put away after. And now let's have a look at the technique and how you can create that angle with your own forehand.
Now, when we're going for length and we're going for that deep shot, we'll really focus on extending out towards the target and really finishing high over and across the body. But when we're going for the short angle, we want to really focus on brushing aggressively and getting that ball to dip quickly. And this means normally on the forehand side being aggressive with this windshield wiper motion, so really coming up and across the ball, and you'll tend to finish much lower down, so by your left hip or by your left oblique. And on the backhand side, it's the exact same thing with that two-hander. I'm hitting that shot and focusing on really using that top hand to come up and across the ball. And with the one-hander, I'm really focusing on getting that palm to open up aggressively and quickly.
So that racket path is a low to high path rather than a through path. The through will give you more of a flat contact. The low to high is the one that will generate the topspin that you'll need in order to dip that ball. Now we try and slow this ball down a little bit rather than hitting hard. But what we don't want to do is to slow down our racket head. We may think that by hitting a slower racket, we're going to create a little bit of a shorter ball. But no, we want to hit the ball really fast with our racket, but slow the ball down through the creation of topspin. So there's less power coming out of my racket through the ball, but the speed of the racket has actually increased. So I'm getting the dip on the shot, I'm getting the dip on that angle and the ball bouncing out of the court, but it's not quite traveling fast. It's traveling fast after the bounce, and that's where you're going to make most of your gains within the rally, because the ball will bounce and it'll kick off into the side, making your opponent cover even more ground. You don't want to hit it hard, because the hard ball will simply reach the baseline and the player too quickly before it crosses that sideline and makes them move out even further.
Another important thing to note is don't feel like you have to drive those angles. Roger Federer is someone who uses the width of the court extremely well, but slices that ball. Yeah.
So here you've got an option of hitting a deep slice, a drive, or that short angle slice. And use the short angle when you feel like you're behind the ball is high enough that you can accelerate through it and cut down a little bit, where you actually create a little bit more slice on the ball, make it go low over the net so that it doesn't have a big bounce and it goes nice and short. You probably don't want to do it on a really low ball, because it'll take time for the ball to go up and then down. It'll give him enough time to get behind it, and he'll have a better shot to hit against me. So I'm looking when I'm on it, I'm behind the ball, and he's expecting for me to hit a bigger shot, and I'm simply accelerating my racket, but not through the ball, more into the slice, more of a cut. And even if you don't quite get it right, if you don't get it perfect cross court, the ball is still low, it's still a difficult shot to deal with, and because you're positioned here, you're still in a good position to be ahead in the rally, or at least neutral. So any way that you can create rotation on the ball to take power off, the slice is another way, because it spins backwards, so you can accelerate through it but still end up hitting the ball short enough and create the angle. And with the slice, the ball actually stays a lot lower as well, so if you do get a good angle, almost like a little drop shot or a little dink with that backhand slice, you can get the opponent pushed out of the court and make them hit up on it, setting up that next shot, making it easier for you to hit. First, I'm going to work on that shorter ball, on that angle, that acceleration through the hand. So all I'm thinking about is trying to go as high as I can over the net, but I want the ball to be dropping as short as possible. So I want it dropping in the box. I want it to be passing the sideline after the bounce. So I don't want it to bounce over the baseline. I want it to bounce past the sideline, and I want that short bounce to be taking the ball out of reach for my opponent. So there, all my body weight is going up as much as I can, driving up, accelerating with my hand, and trying to make that ball drop. So I don't want to slow down my hand, I want to accelerate it. Now make sure that you're recovering back to the middle to make sure that it's a realistic shot, that you're moving out to that ball. You're not simply just standing here trying to hit that shot. So as realistic as you can for the rally, and also it will help you work on your movement a little bit and the fitness aspect of the game. So in this drill, I'm now going to progress, and I'm going to do one deep, where I'm looking for depth, getting the player behind the baseline, pushing them out to the back, and now hopefully forcing a shorter ball where I can apply my new learned topspin angle to then bring them out on the sideline. It's a great feeling when you get it right and you get that ball going up and then crossing that sideline. And this shot is actually very useful, not just for creating angle when you want to get the player out, but also if a player is approaching you and you have to pass them at the net, that's a great passing shot as well. So having the ability to do that and knowing the feel of the extend and the accelerate, it will help you use the shot in all different scenarios that you may face.
So there you have it. We hope you've enjoyed this lesson and learned something new. Hopefully using the width for the court will help you win your next singles match.
Do subscribe to the channel, click the like button and leave a comment under the video. Let us know if it helped you in your matches.
Signing off, Simon and Alex from TTT. All the best and see you soon.